Welcome to a new video of 1d6. Today we're discussing my personal top 10 overall games of 2024. And this is very important. I am competing against William, my top 10 against his top 10, and I hope you're voting for me. So please leave a comment on this video once you're done looking at it, and also look at the video of William, of course. So without further ado, let's dive into it. Fading from memory and losing ground in my personal top 10 games is Pandemic Legacy. The memorable moments I had in this game are more than 2 years old, but still impact my preferences for certain games today. Pandemic Legacy was based upon Pandemic, a cooperative action selection hand management game with rock solid mechanics. These mechanics were simple, addictive, and have proven to be a great foundation for all kinds of other game mechanics. Pandemic Legacy starts in the same way its predecessor does, but once a couple of minutes into the game, things start to change. The game forces players to put stickers on the board and in the rulebook, changing the game and its objectives. In 12 to 24 sessions, players go through one season of Pandemic Legacy. No game will be the same as rules and circumstances constantly change, keeping players invested and challenged at the same time. I played all 3 seasons of Pandemic Legacy with my wife, and my wife isn't a seasoned board gamer, but nonetheless we both enjoyed the game very much. Pandemic opened her eyes and was able to show her what modern board games can be, but also kept me invested the whole time. It bridges the gap between casual players and seasoned gamers, which is why I still recommend it to anyone interested in board games today. Not as accessible as Pandemic, but still heaps of fun, is Hegemony. Hegemony is an asymmetric, economical and political board game that fuses a lot of different game mechanics into a strategic and rewarding experience. At first, the game can feel overwhelming as you try to grasp the unique dynamics of the different factions and the intricate relations between mechanics. However, once you do, it becomes clear that this game is truly one of a kind. Negotiation, trading, voting, worker placement, hand management, it all comes together in Hegemony. You aim to lead your class to victory, but every action you take also impacts the other classes. The challenge lies in weighing your options carefully and finding the optimal strategy. The game's design is inspired by real-world political systems, and it's truly impressive how the designers managed to create an enjoyable experience that's close to reality but also is playable within 2 to 3 hours. That said, this game doesn't fit every player or player group due to its high complexity, and even our group needs to be in the right mood to table this game. But when the stars align, this political jousting match delivers a tense, brain-wrecking experience that is hard to forget. Less refined but equally rewarding is Ian Trespass Odyssey, a boss battler set in an alternate version of ancient Greece where players control giant titans to fight the primordials. Up to 4 players can embark on this epic campaign game. This is a game you can really sink your teeth into. The first 3 chapters of the base game already offer more than 150 hours of gameplay by themselves. Ian Trespass Odyssey combines world exploration with dice-driven combat scenes. The game certainly isn't perfect due to its high complexity and overwhelming table presence. Once fully set up, it's hard to keep track of all the different elements and possibilities. On top of that, the primordials are as tough as nails. Encounters can be brutal and losses can be punishing. Ian Trespass really pushes players to bring their A game to have a fighting chance. This may be too big of a challenge for some players, but if you can overcome these imperfections and win a fight, man, few games feel as rewarding as Ian Trespass. William and I stopped playing the first chapter a while ago, not because we didn't like the game, but rather to wait for an even more immersive experience. Ian Trespass mixes storytelling with gameplay, and we decided to wait for the narrative F to fully enjoy the storytelling part of the game. Once the narrative F is available, we will certainly dive back into the campaign. Tainted Grail isn't flawless either. Some consider the game to be grindy and the exploration a bit too hard. I can partially agree with this critique, but Tainted Grail has plenty to offer to make up for it. Where do I even start to express my admiration for this masterpiece? Is it the balance between storytelling and gameplay? Is it the addictive combat and diplomacy mechanics? Or is it the vast freedom to explore Avalon? There is so much to love. The dark theme and the grim story are right up my alley. I never cared much for King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table until I played Tainted Grail. The ominous and mysterious story will inevitably pull you into a long and dark rabbit hole, leaving several lasting and memorable moments. I replayed the Fall of Avalon campaign multiple times, and so far each time the game still satisfies my appetite for exploration. I even tried to play the solo variant of the game so I could have complete freedom to lose myself for hours while exploring the lands of Avalon. Unfortunately, this didn't work out as well as I had hoped due to other obligation that requires time and attention. But once I have the time, I will certainly dive back into the campaign to unravel all the mysteries the game has to offer. Board games don't need dozens of hours of campaign gameplay or high complexity to be entertaining. Skyrise proves this point with its inviting and easy to grasp gameplay that combines auction mechanics with city building. Players compete for victory points by expanding their foothold in specific areas of the board. Each player has a limited number of buildings, each with a unique value printed on them, which are used for auctions. When a bid is placed on a piece of land, overbidding is only allowed on an adjacent piece of land. This creates interesting strategic decisions as you aim to block your opponents from accessing the most valuable territories. Skyrise is easy to table, features top-notch components, especially the Kickstarter Collector's Edition, and appeals to both casual and seasoned gamers with its easy-to-grasp mechanics that still offer a challenging puzzle. Eclipse is my go-to game when I have a lot of friends over, all hungry for a meaty game experience. This 4X game scales incredibly well, offering strategic depth for up to 6 players without becoming cumbersome. Eclipse includes all the classic 4X elements: exploring space, expanding your foothold in surrounding territories, exploiting resources by optimizing your economy, and exterminating NPCs and other players, of course. The beauty of Eclipse lies in the simplicity and its available actions. Each one is straightforward and quick, keeping downtime to an absolute minimum and ensuring players stay engaged throughout the game. That said, Eclipse involves a bit of luck due to dice rolls. Losing against the odds can be punishing, sometimes setting you back several light years. Research and development can improve your chances, but there are moments when Eclipse feels undeniably unfair. Overall, Eclipse is a highly enjoyable experience. In this short summary, we only scratched the surface of what the game has to offer. While I know Twilight Imperium is often considered the ultimate 4X game, I simply don't have the luxury of dedicating an entire day to a board game. Eclipse is an excellent substitute, delivering all the essential 4X elements in a package that can be fully enjoyed in just 2 to 3 hours. Castles of Burgundy taught me not to judge a book by its cover. This game had a significant impact on our gaming group and even led us to change the 1d6 rating system. Previously, we rated games by averaging the scores for design, gameplay, originality and replayability. However, after playing Castles of Burgundy, we decided that gameplay should count double in the overall rating. Before Awakened Realms launched their GameFound campaign for Castles of Burgundy, we weren't interested in the game. It had little appeal, no table presence, and honestly looked quite dull. Thanks to Awakened Realms reprint, Castles of Burgundy no longer looks dull. Its astounding gameplay is now presented in a colorful and inviting way. Castles of Burgundy is a tile-laying game that constantly pits players against each other in a race for victory points. Most of our games were tense and full of close calls. Great insight and planning ahead is often rewarded with a victory, and this can truly feel like quite a rewarding accomplishment. The first time I played Dune Imperium was on my tablet. I had seen the game being played at several conventions but never got the chance to try it myself. It didn't take me long to buy the game after experiencing it on my tablet. Dune is the perfect symbiosis of worker placement and deck building. On top of that, Dune Imperium beautifully complements its mechanics. It's actually quite impressive how well the Dune universe is implemented into the game. It feels thematic and all the factions, units and locations fits perfectly within the gameplay. Another thing I appreciate about Dune is its complexity. I rate it slightly above average. The game offers plenty of options but isn't overwhelming and remains accessible for new players. Adjusting faction leaders and difficulty levels help make the game enjoyable for both novice and experienced players. One last point worth mentioning is the vast amount of add-ons. While this didn't affect my overall rating of the game, it's a nice bonus that Dune is highly expandable. Few games manage to deliver such a satisfying blend of strategy and economic planning as Brass Birmingham. The game masterfully splits its gameplay into two distinct yet interconnected phases: the canal area and the railroad era. This structure forces players to adapt their strategies as the board evolves, keeping the competition fierce and engaging throughout. During the canal era, players focus on building foundational industries and establishing trade connections via canals. It's a time of careful planning and resource management, as each move can have long-lasting implications for the rest of the game. Once the railroad era begins, the pace intensifies. Canals are replaced by railroads, offering up new opportunities and reshaping the map. Players must pivot their strategies, balancing the development of industries with aggressive expansions to maintain their foothold. What sets Brass Birmingham apart is how it demands players to adapt to an ever-changing economic landscape while keeping a close eye on their opponents. Few games capture the rise and fall of industrial empires with as much elegance and tension as Brass Birmingham. No other board game manages to combine raw power, clever strategy and intense player interaction as flawlessly as Blood Rage. This game is the pinnacle of what a modern board game can achieve. Easy to learn, endlessly replayable and packed with memorable moments that keep players coming back for more. Blood Rage thrives on its unique blend of area control, card drafting and combat mechanics. The game unfolds over 3 ages, each one escalating and intensifying as players vie for glory before Ragnarok destroys the board. In every age, the tension rises as players balance the need to expand their armies, upgrade their clans and clash with opponents in strategic battles. What sets Blood Rage apart is how every decision feels impactful. Drafting cards at the start of each age ensures that players must plan ahead, adapting their strategies to both their opponent's moves and the ever-changing board state. The escalating stakes are further fueled by the looming Ragnarok, where victory isn't always about survival, but often about embracing glorious defeat to achieve Valhalla's ultimate rewards. Whether you revel in combat-heavy strategies or focus on clever card combos and opportunistic plays, Blood Rage offers a depth of strategy and thematic immersion that is unparalleled. That's it, that was my personal top 10 for 2024. I hope you liked it and I hope you agreed to the titles on my top. Of course, you can also watch the top 10 of William. We'll leave a thumb over here. And please let us know who is right, whose top is better. Leave it in the comments below on this video. And while you're at it, give a thumbs up and even consider subscribing. That's it for now, and I'll see you in the next video.